Hey everybody, it's Matthew, and you know what time it is. It's tag team tournament time. This is episode 4 of the tournament, and we have a few more matchups today. So let's dive right in with the random drawings before we pick the figures off the shelf. So as we dive right in, we are looking at the tandem of Sheik and Volkov squaring off against the new Foundation. They will be followed by the Brainbusters as they do battle with the Twin Towers. The next matchup is going to be the Dream Team as they square off against the Wild Samoans. So, only 3 matchups in this last battle. Now, the only question I would have about this last match, or this second matchup with the Brainbusters, so it's going to feature Branchard Tully and Arn Anderson. So, Arn Anderson, I only have one Arn Anderson figure. As we know, Arn Anderson in the last video was eliminated as a member of the Ric Flair Four Horsemen tag team, or one of the members of the Four Horsemen tag team faction. So I can either reutilize the Arn Anderson figure to tag with Branchard Tully, and give him, reutilize the Brainbusters, or I could use a substitution. Now some might argue, well, that's not fair, but I could say, well, this is my tournament. I can make that substitution if I like. I'm kind of on the outskirts. If I use a substitution, then I can show off another figure, and but does it really balance out? Because there's a figure right next to Branchard Tully that would work, because they both have similar appearances. I'm not really familiar with Brainbusters either way, and I only chose them because the figures are there. I'm going to make a substitution. Sorry guys, I know that's not the tag team you guys probably know of. And to my knowledge, these guys probably never worked together. I don't know. I really didn't grow up with this knowledge of these tag teams. But it just gives it the option for another tag team to work together. And again, it gives you the opportunity to see different characters. That's all it is. Do they move forward in the tournament? I don't know. Just because I don't know anything about the actual tag team itself doesn't mean that the figures don't move forward, because as I've said before a million times, it's as much about the figures as it is about the actual teams themselves. So it is a figure tournament, so I'm going to pull those figures off the shelves and we will move forward in the tournament. So I will pause and I will be back in a split second for you guys, and we will go on with the first matchup. Alright, so I got these names kind of mixed up, so hopefully I do have them situated in the same order that I originally pulled them. If not, I do apologize for mixing them up. But the first matchup, it was the tandem of Sheik and Volkov as they square off against the new Foundation. Alright. So this is kind of... So I kind of have mixed feelings about this tandem. So putting Iran and Russia together during the Cold War, obviously these two heels right there along with Bundy, probably 3 of the biggest heels of the 1980s. And makes sense. Like I said, Cold War during that time, U.S.'s mega beat with Russia, with the USSR and whatnot. It made sense. With these particular figures, it's kind of night and day for me, because I absolutely love the Nikolai Volkov figure, and it's a special meaning for me because it's the very first LJN figure I ever purchased. When I first acquired the Nikolai Volkov figure, I kind of thought that the LJN figures were going to be like a big deal, and I wanted to be because I wanted to buy Hasbro's, and I wanted to collect Hasbro's. I really didn't know anything about LJN. I had no really interest in it because I didn't grow up with that line. I figured maybe I'd buy a few just to have some for my collection, but really when I bought them, the intention was to sell them. I wanted to be a seller. I didn't really want to be a collector. Again, if I happen to pick up a few here and there for cheap, maybe I have some just to have on the shelves, just to say, hey, I have some. That's pretty much it. And that's what a lot of my collections basically amounted to. Buy it just to say that I had some. Remco's were the same way. Shaq's Classic Superstars. Pretty much everything you could see in this room was basically with that mindset, and all of them pretty much exploded, and they basically turned into like full on collections, where I basically completed the entire collection or darn near close to it. With Jack's Classic Superstars, that's different because there's just like 500 box sets, and I got like over 150 or something, and there's just no way to collect them all. There's just way too many. When I got this figure in my hand and I hold it, I'm like, they got me. It was an absolutely amazing figure. It was a great fighting pose, a great look to it. It was just perfect, and I'm like, dang. I mean, I can't sell this. I mean, at that point, I knew I didn't want to be a seller. I wanted to be a collector. And I knew if I ended up getting, multiple pieces, yes, of course, I was going to sell any of the duplicates I ended up getting. And, because I bought so many lots, and sometimes, you buy a lot of 20, you might buy a lot of 12, a lot of 10, etc. And there's maybe one or two figures in that lot that you need. And so, obviously, you end up with all these duplicates. So, of course, you're going to have all these pieces extra that you want to sell. And so, yeah, obviously the Nikolai Volkov figure obviously meant a whole lot to me personally because it's the first figure I ever acquired. Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik as a character in the WWF, watching like old Hulk Hogan, best of Hulk Hogan videos as a kid. And what do you remember watching? Like his matchup with the Iron Sheik. Dropping that leg on him, pinning him, winning the championship. That video also included, his WrestleMania 3 match against, Andre the Giant and, other great battles, including against Volkov and, other great championship matches and whatnot. Great battles, against Macho Man, and I think Warriors matchup was in there as well, but the Iron Sheik figure itself is an absolutely despicable figure. I can't stand this figure at all. Aesthetically, it looks great. Like, I really love the little elf shoes with little pointy toes and everything. I just can't stand the figure. It doesn't do any justice. What drives me nuts, I've talked about in the past, one of the reasons why I stopped being a fan of Random Treasures is because they keep using these horrible figures and they keep modeling these characters after these terrible figures. They take this character, Mil Mascaris, who I knew nothing about, and it doesn't so much bother me that they take these characters I don't know anything about, because if they produce an awesome figure, I'm okay with not knowing about the character. But they take this masked wrestler, this Mil Mascaris guy, and they copy him after an Iron Sheik figure. I'm like, hold on a minute. You can go out on eBay, spend $3 and buy yourself an Iron Sheik, but you're expecting buyers to spend $130, $140 on an Iron Sheik figure from your shop. It's a ripoff. I'm like, no. It's why it's one of the oldest figures on their site that I haven't bought, because I just can't spend $140 on an Iron Sheik figure. Great tandem together. I love that fact that the WWF during that wartime put these guys together. I think that was brilliant. brilliant marketing during that time. It's sad because, you know, these guys are just, they're just human beings. You know, they're doing a job. You know, it's scripted. They're just professional. They're just athletes doing just performing, and got a lot of heat, got a lot of death threats. Yeah, I'm sure they were attacked. You know, coming to the ring, probably attacked going onto the bus and stuff, and probably didn't. You know, they didn't deserve it. But that was the Cold War for you. Their competitors are going to be the new Heart Foundation. So Mike Steyer on YouTube has a channel where he customizes LJN figures. So realistically, I only bought this set because of the Jim the Anvil Nightheart figure. I saw this figure on his channel long time ago, and I absolutely loved this figure. And I came across this figure several weeks ago, and I couldn't believe that he actually had this one up. He was selling both figures for about $90, and I actually asked him if I could buy just this figure for like $60. I wanted to put an offer higher than, you know, more than half price, because I wanted him to break it up so I can get this figure. Eventually, I just decided, you know what, pay the extra $30, just get them both together. So they take a junkyard dog and, you know, repaint the body, you know, put an anvil head on, and you know what, he did a phenomenal job with this figure. I almost like this figure better than the original LJN version of the Jim the Nightheart figure. And again, they take a Series 5 Jim Nightheart from Hasbro. I love what he did with this figure. This is phenomenal. And I watched so many of his videos, and I'm so impressed with a lot of his figures, but then I don't know. I'm impressed, but then I see a lot of his figures, and then I start being like not impressed. It's not Wrestling Writer or, you know, Hack 316 or, you know, some of my other favorite customizers. It's not their level quality of custom work. Let's just put it that way. This one, yeah, I rate this one very high. But like, you look at the Owen Hart figure, which is, you know, customized after the Series 7 Hasbro. Waist down, amazing. I love the detail work that goes into it. The Rocket Owen Hart, amazing work, beautiful. This is kind of like more of like the tag team with the look of like a Coco Beware type of appearance. And then later on when he, you know, Rocket tag team with like Rocket Anvil and stuff, you know, when they became the New Heart Foundation. But so many things I dislike about the figure. One, utilizing a Macho Man body. I can live with the pose. We can move on from that. The head. The head mode, to me, that doesn't look anything like Owen Hart, and that kind of kills it for me. It's still a figure competition as much as anything. So, two really bad figures kind of cancel each other out. But then you've got two really good figures. And I think this is what it's going to go against. One that means so much to me, and then one that I just think is absolutely perfect. I think the Junkyard... No, actually, I've been rating the Nikolai Volkov figure higher than Junkyard Dog. For like the longest time, I had Volkov at number 4 and then Junkyard Dog at 5 until my collection exploded. And then they kind of like fell out of the top 10. I think right now I have Volkov like 14 and Junkyard at 15 or 15 and 16, something like that. Oh. Personally, what I watched growing up, I know more about Anvil and Owen Hart than I do these two. I mean, I've grown up watching these two, you know, wrestle more than these guys. I'm going to push these guys forward because I actually have knowledge and memories of these guys wrestling more than these guys. These guys, I only have memories based on those home videos. I don't ever remember them wrestling as a kid outside of said videos. So, and again, this is just a bad figure. So I'm going to have to pass on the tandem. The Owen Hart figure kills it for me, so I don't think these guys are going to make it further past round 2, maybe around 3, I don't know. I think this figure is really going to keep them in the competition for a while if they do, but how much further? So this is where I think I messed up. I don't know if I got this in order or not, but Dream Team versus Wild Samoans. So, Dream Team. We've seen the tandem of Greg Valentine and the Honky Tonk Man from Rhythm and Blues in the last video. And now we see the tandem of Brutus Beefcake and team up with Greg Valentine to form the Dream Team. So, in back-to-back videos. So, this one, a very much more simple look at Greg Valentine. You don't got the fancy, a built-on jacket or anything like that. Just a simple figure, black boots, black trunks, nothing fancy, no color change to the hair, anything like that. Got the tag team champion belts on these guys. Brutus, obviously, know him as the Beefcake, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. That's how my memory reflects him. He became the Beefcake, became the Barber around 89 or so. Not the best pose, in my opinion, for the 8-inch figure, but he has the very same pose for the bendy, and I think the bendy actually is one of the best figures for the 4-inch. I think because you can move the arms a lot more easily, it does work a lot better for the 4-inch figures than it does for the 8-inch figures. So definitely one of the best bendies figures, but not so much for the 8-inch guys. I like this pairing a lot because, again, they're two characters I can relate to. I grew up watching, and not two super megastars. We're not talking no Savage and Hogan type of deal, but very likable guys, and nothing flashy in the ring. They're just wrestlers, guys that go about their business. And I've said it before, Greg Valentine. Right now, I have Greg Valentine listed as my number 5 all-time favorite LJN figure. He is not a flashy figure. He doesn't have all this extra color and detail. A very simple pose, kind of like your Barry Windham Galoob. Will I eventually change or drop him further down my list? Because I really think like your Ultimate Warrior, or especially Big Boss Man, like Big Boss Man is at number 6, followed by Warrior, etc. Will he eventually fall further down the list? I don't know. I just love this figure. This is, when I was doing my Royal Rumbles and stuff, when I was getting the feel for the figures, this was easily the most played with figure. Like, he would come in at number 2, number 3. He would stay until the very end, be the last 2 figures. Because I just didn't want to get rid of him, eliminate him. He was just so much fun and to get so much use. Him and King Kong Bundy, there's just so much enjoyment out of it. And Brutus Beefcake. Yeah, I don't have the tag team of Stud and Bundy in this tournament. I probably should have included them. That way I have a 4th matchup on here. You know what? I probably should do that because that would make an even 4 matches, and that would keep the tournament even throughout. You know what? I'm probably going to add a 4th matchup at the end here because, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Make it even throughout the entire tournament. Well, so that was the Dream Team. And they're going to square off against the... Nope, I can't do that because I don't have another competitor for them to go against. They will square off against the Wild Samoans. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't remember if it was Alpha or Sika. I want to say Alpha. Which one's Alpha? Uh, da, 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 da. I don't know, man. I think Alpha is the one with the right arm out. So, probably this guy. I think. I can't remember. So I have him sitting on the shelf like so. So, maybe this was Alpha. So Alpha became the manager of the head shrinkers, and I think these guys were all part of the same wrestling family. I didn't even realize until I watched the history of Yokozuna that that they were all like cousins and stuff, and I'm like, that's crazy. Now I know that the WWF used to take like like Hawaiian wrestlers and like Samoan wrestlers and stuff like that, and turn them into like these Japanese characters, and I'm like, grab someone from Japan and bring them over and make them Japanese wrestlers. It's not hard to hire someone from Japan and how many times do baseball players bring in free agents from Japanese Japanese sports. So Yao Ming into basketball, or with the Cubs, bring in Japanese baseball players. Of course, when I think Japanese baseball players with the Cubs, all I could think is Kosuke Fukudome. Oh my god, what the heck. I was thinking Ichiro Suzuki and Hideki Matsui in one, and then we end up getting the guy with the stupid softball swing. I don't know, man. These guys from Random Treasures, these guys are like early 80s, before I was born. I don't know anything about these guys, really. Sorry, but, I mean, this is an obvious pass. We already know Dream Team's going to pass on these guys. I don't like these figures. Yeah, they got good bulkiness, sure. That's about all they got going for them. Don't like their pose. Other than the Danny Trejo look to the face, which is one of my favorites about the figure. That's about it. Nothing else about the figures that I can really remember about the characters. I watch a lot of old wrestling on YouTube because making a lot of these videos, I try to learn about a lot of characters that I talk about. Because I make a lot of 1980s inspired videos, because that's a good chunk of what I collect. It's weird. I mean, I was born mid 80s, so you would think I would have a lot more knowledge of the 80s, but I really don't. My memory is trash, and I basically have to watch something to get that refresher. The Dream Team, I mean, come on. I really think the Dream Team, even if I love these figures, I think the Dream Team is like a couple characters that I feel are going to go deep in this tournament regardless of who they're facing. The Samoans had no chance regardless. Alright, so the last matchup. Alright. So this was Sheik and Volkov, New Foundation. And the last matchup is going to pit the Twin Towers against the Brainbusters. So, the Brainbusters. I talked about Tully Blanchard in the WWF. Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson were your Brainbusters. But I had two sets of Four Horsemen. Sid Vicious and Barry Windham was one set of Four Horsemen, and Ric Flair and Arn Anderson was another set of Four Horsemen. And because Arn Anderson and Ric Flair was already eliminated in the last video as one set of 4 horsemen, I do not want to reutilize this Arn Anderson. I could, but I do not want to give this man a second opportunity. So, I'm going to make a substitution. It's my tournament, guys. I'm allowed. The substitution I'm going to make, were these two guys ever, have these guys ever teamed up together? I don't know. So why would I do it? I don't know. Probably because I don't think that these guys will pass the Twin Towers for starters. Secondly, because maybe I want to show off another figure. Generally, so here it is. Here's the substitution I made. So it's going to be Tully Blanchard, and it's going to be Dr. Death, Steve Williams. This is the tag team I decided to put together. Both come from Ram Treasures, and both figures are terrible. They're really bad. I do not like either figure. The Tully Blanchard is just simply a carbon copy of the Galoob Ric Flair. And I don't know, Steve Williams, he's just like another Bam Bam Bigelow figure type. So I just selected this figure because, they got very similar, boot types and whatnot. Could they have, worked together in the past? It's very possible. I don't see why not. Steve Williams, I think I read somewhere that he was like tag team champions with like Vader or something. So I think I could have used him and Vader as a tag team together. Maybe they could have I could have put them against like Stud and Bundy or something, but I still would have been one tag team down to go against the Twin Towers. So I don't know, whatever. I'll figure something out to make it even at the end. I don't like these figures, and this is one of the reasons why I said I'm losing faith in Ram Treasures. Their figures just not good. And you see it on the Razor Ramon figure, you see it on this Tully Blanchard. They take I don't know what they do, like stick their finger in oil or something, and then rub their finger on the chest, and they call it, hair or something. That to me is not good. You're paying an absolute fortune for this. Yeah, sure, the paint job, it looks good, but everything else, the figures, the poses are just not good. The rubber is garbage. This is why I choose to go through, your random customizers, the guys that work out of their garages, or sit there painting figures in their kitchens. This is why I'd rather buy from them, because their work is better. Am I saying I will never buy from Ram Treasures? No, of course I will buy from Ram Treasures again. It's just their figures, and it just has to be the right figure. These type of figures, no, they're just not good. And like I said, there's just absolutely no way possible I would ever choose those figures over the Twin Towers. Big Boss Man is one of the most perfect figures you're ever going to find. One Man Gang, I am not a fan of, and this is the Eric Boyer Wrestling Rider custom I decided to choose instead of going with the original. So this is the UWF Championship belt, and I just like this one better, so I decided to go with the custom belt, or custom figure. I don't actually have an Akeem figure, so One Man Gang is going to have to make an appearance in place of the Akeem. One day I do hope to get an Akeem custom, but no rush. You guys know who this is. Big Boss Man, absolutely love the figure. Akeem, I love his bulkiness and everything, or One Man Gang, love the bulkiness of the figure, just don't like the pose. Man, if they gave him Boss Man's pose, or gave him Hulk Hogan's pose or something, again, this would have been like a top 10 figure for me. Perfect. You know, for just 3 matchups, this taking 30 minutes was crazy. I think what did I spend the most time on? That first matchup? Because I don't think I really spent that much time on the last couple matchups. But I always feel like I'm always taking 30 minutes of these videos, but I don't feel like I'm talking a lot. Alright, so after this video, I'm probably gonna do the posters. Just today I got some from Canada. I got a whole ton of different posters in. I was gonna buy some new picture frames, but I decided not to because the posters I got in came in this really nice art portfolio. So instead of buying new picture frames, I don't have any wall space for them, so I'm gonna leave them in the booklet, and I'm not gonna use my cell phone. I'm gonna use the computer. Hopefully, you guys will still be able to see them clearly. If it doesn't come out clear, then I will retake the video using the camera, the cell phone camera. But it just takes like 20 minutes or 30 minutes just to transfer from the camera to the computers, and like another half hour, 45 minutes to transfer from the phone to from the computer to the YouTube when I do it by phone. So, and it takes like 5 minutes to transfer from the computer to YouTube when I do it that way. So I'd much rather film that way through the computer. If it works that way, it's going to be easier on me. So, and yeah. Hopefully this video comes out good. A lot of times I film these videos, and sometimes you had a lot of fun making a video, and sometimes you feel like, man, that video is gonna suck. But then you sit down and you watch it, it's like, oh, well, that came out pretty good. Well, we'll see when I sit down and actually watch it. I actually don't watch the video until I actually post it. And I like to sit there and watch the video when I post it to make sure it actually looks good. Otherwise, I'm like, uh-oh, let me go in and delete it. Luckily, I haven't had to delete any videos yet, so. Alright, guys, I'm going to shut up because we're already past 30 minutes. Thank you for watching, and talk to you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.